konting entitlement, konti lang naman. Kaya sobrang bilyo. Minsan nagising ako, bagong gising ako, pagpasok ko sa aming bathroom, nakita ko limang dental floss ng mga toothpick na mayroong ano doon sa dulo, yung mayroong parang alambre. Tapos nakita ko yung aming maliit na scissors, yung pang pedicure, manicure na scissors. Pagkatabi, ginupit niya ho lahat nung dental floss. Andun lahat sa may lababo. Yeah! Minsan, sa kapilyuhan niya, siguro sa isang buwan tumatawag yung aming yung teacher sa amin, tinitext ako. Minsan, hinatid ko siya sa eskwelahan. Tapos, first day of school kasi, it's a tradition in the family that we bring them to school on the first day to impart to them the value of education and the importance. So, kinakausap ko siya. He was 5 years old, turning 6. Sabi ko, oh, Miguel. This was 1 week after the first day of school. I brought him to school the first day, but then 1 week later, just to monitor, sabi ko, oh, Miguel, are you behaving in school? Huh? Are you obeying your teacher? Are you, are you obeying and behaving? Sabi niya, yes, Daddy. I'm always saying I'm sorry. At pagka ako nag-a-attend ng Parents-Teachers Conference ni Miguel, lagi mayroong kakaibang ngiti ang kanyang mga teacher pag nakikita ako. Sabi ko, ano naman ang ginawa ni Miguel? Pilyo sila, ang ilang mga bata, ngunit kinakailangan, kung mayroong pagdidisiplina sa kanila, kinakailangan siyempre, child appropriate din. Talagang mga bata, meron dyan magiging pagkakamali. May bata talaga na hindi pa nalalaman precisely ang tama sa mali. Kaya kinakailangan gabayan. And that is precisely why the Juvenile Justice Welfare Law was put into place. Ang dalawa ko namang hindi na ho sila chikiting dahil Frankie is 16 and Miel is 12, turning 13. Ito naman parang aso't pusa. Hindi magkasundo maya't-maya. Maya't-maya nag-aaway. Around 3 or 4 years ago, dahil talagang summer yun, araw-araw silang aso't pusa, gin-round ko. Kasi dapat naman talaga dinidisiplina ang mga bata. Hindi naman pwedeng hindi tayo gumagawa ng mga child-appropriate responses. So binigyan ko sila ng diversion program. Ang diversion program nila, sabi ko, the whole day, both of you, the whole day, you will do things together. Hindi pwedeng hindi kayo magkasama buong araw. Kakain kayo ng sabay, maglalaro kayo ng sabay, because I want to teach you and I want you to learn to get along. Yan ang punishment ninyo. Yan ang inyong diversion program. Una, protesta. Kasi nga, hindi magkasundo Kala siguro nila, ibang klaseng grounding sila. O sige, magsama kayo maghapong magdamag. Gawan nyo ng paraan na magkasundo kayo. Aba, isang oras pa lang pagkatapos mong parang aso't pusa, nagtatawanan mo. So, in that sense, children have to be made to account for their acts, but it has to be done in a child-appropriate manner. Aside from this, because children and their very nature, kinakailangan ng guidance sa pagkwento tungkol naman kay Miguel. He plays soccer, football, At minsan, naglambing siya sa akin, "Dad, are you going to bring me to football practice?" Sabi ko, "I can, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'll try to. But maybe next week, or maybe on Thursday," sabi ko. Tapos sabi niya, "Please, Dad, because I'm not a staff without you." So, ang ating mga anak, kinakailangan ng guidance, kinakailangan ng suporta, kinakailangan ng alalay para sila ay magkaroon ng dagdag na kumpiyansa. Hindi sila dapat kinukulong, hindi sila dapat pinaparusahan ng paraan na kung saan ay nakakasira, magkakaroon sila ng trauma. This is why issues about children in conflict with the law and the earlier moves to lower the minimum age of criminal responsibility are very personal to me. Not only because I was the principal author of the law, but also because I am a parent. I have children. I have Miguel, Frankie, Miel, and Casey. I've always said this, I will not trade being a husband and a father for anything in the world. Kaya huwag niyo paniniwalaan yung mga fake news. Hindi yung
Sounds familiar.
Ang mahirap dito pag ikaw ay nagsasalita na hindi tumutugma sa mga ilang mga grupo, ikaw ay babalikan ng fake news. Kaya dapat po lahat tayo, huwag po tayong basta-basta magpapaniwala kung ano lumalabas sa social media. None of our children were born bad. None came to this world as a child offender. But in life, they cannot do it alone. Every child needs a champion. It could be their mother or father, a friend or a teacher or a barangay official or a social worker. Someone who will see their foolishness and mistakes, and yes, perhaps even violations of law, but not to give up on them. We are here because we have not given up, and we will not give up on our children. Hindi po ba? Kaya po tayo narito. Which brings me to another story, as told by a teacher. Ma'am Beth usually takes the jeepney on her way to class along Commonwealth Avenue here in Quezon City. One afternoon, she boarded a jeepney with only 6 passengers. Before reaching her destination, a young boy, teenager, sumakay at nag-announce, "Hold up ito." He told the passengers, gusto lang niya ng pera. Nailagay sa kanyang baseball cap, tapos pinasa ito from one passenger to another. And to the teacher's surprise, the boy sat beside her but did not take her money. Instead, he said, "Sorry, ma'am." Back in class, Ma'am Beth had an idea who among her students the teenage hold-upper was. But she did not confront him right away. For months, she watched him in class and paid special attention to him, aiding him in his assignments, offering him her baon, and sometimes giving him small amounts of money to help him buy rice for his family. He eventually warmed up to her and showed interest in his studies. He began to take part in extracurricular activities and got into the school's basketball team. More than a year after the incident, Ma'am Beth finally decided to talk to the boy about the incident. The boy cried and offered his story. He told the teacher he did it because his younger sister had high fever and they had no money to buy medicine. We do not tolerate the boy's misdeeds. That's precisely why you have a system of justice that will address juvenile offenders. In the same way that we respect the judgment of the teacher in handling the situation. Here's the point. Children make mistakes. They will commit offenses, even crime, or commit crime, but we do not give up on them. Every child needs a champion. There have been attempts to amend the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act by lowering the age of criminal responsibility to 9 years old. We highlight the need for continued vigilance, as the latest version of the House Committee on Justice thankfully retains the age of 15 and introduces additional reforms in the law. Children in conflict with the law are victims too. They need our help and rehabilitation, and not the stigma of being labeled as criminals. The shortcomings and inefficiencies in our justice system, including our correctional system, have damaged many of them irreparably. Surely, it is time to correct this mistake. As we tackle the pending bill, we will keep a tight watch of the following. While the minimum age of criminal responsibility is 15 years old, the bill allows children in conflict with the law, as low as 9 years old, to be committed to a youth care facility of the Bahay Pag-asa. Is this compliant with our obligations to international law and standards? You will be discussing this later on. The right of the state to take responsibility of children in conflict with the law if the parents cannot do so, and the intervention programs for child offenders and for the parents of those who commit serious offenses or those who are repeat offenders. While we acknowledge the wisdom behind taking away children from parents who are neglecting their needs and proper upbringing, can the government fulfill the obligation to institutionalize foster care and diversion programs? The funding for the implementation of the law, as this has been the problem of the current law. Will there be Bahay Pag-asa in all cities and municipalities? Will they be equipped with the necessary facilities? Without the adequate resources, most especially funding, this could suffer the same fate as the current law. Just to put things in proper perspective, and why this law has faced several hurdles and got off to a very rough start. From 2006, when the law was passed, until 2010, the only appropriations made available for those 4 years for the implementation of this law, which is national in scope, was sadly 57 million pesos. So obviously, that would not make it work. By the end of 2010, there were only 7 full-time employees of the Juvenile Justice Welfare Council. By the end of 2010, 4 years into the implementation of the law, the Juvenile Justice Welfare Council did not have its own office. And so, Martin is laughing over there because he was the executive director at that time. And therefore, in the first critical 4 years, if the law was a child, sabi nga nila, the first 6 years is critical. If the child is to become well developed and would grow up to be, a well developed individual or adult. So if the law were a child, its formative years was very, very difficult. And therefore, we really need, by 2010 onwards, the funding became at least more adequate. If I'm not mistaken, today there are like 70 employees and personnel. Martin, can you imagine 70? You could move heaven, the entire country with 70, right? Obviously, you couldn't do much with 6, including yourself, 7. So from 2010 up until today, there have been major developments, major progress in the implementation of the law. And still, we are still reeling from the challenges that we had faced from the first 4 years. So kinakailangan talagang habulin po natin yan. We were able to finally, in 2013, transfer the Juvenile Justice Welfare Council as an attached agency, no longer of the DOJ, but of the DSWD. At that point, it was an anomalous situation, admittedly, that we had an attached agency of the DOJ with a undersecretary of the DSWD as chair. Ay talagang schizophrenia. But we corrected that. We saw the challenges. We are not close to criticism. There is no such thing as a perfect law. If there are needed additional amendments, let us do it. We are open to strengthening the law, precisely. The capacity, another issue, the capacity of the DSWD and other concerned government agencies and the local government units in running the social reintegration programs for children in conflict with the law. Do they have the timetable for the rollout of these programs? Or will we be, or are we still unprepared? The programs to capacitate our social workers, development officers, and other personnel who will be at the center of the intervention program. There was also an issue brought to my attention about legal assistance and legal liability of social workers when they intervene and take custody of children. There are families or parents who object to or who oppose or question the capacity or the authority of the social workers and are therefore placed at risk of legal cases. Until the law is signed or until the law is law or amended, provisions remain suggestions, and we need to remain vigilant so that the spirit of the law is followed and that the children do not have a place in jail. The House, as I said earlier, been able to overcome the initial efforts of lowering the age of criminal liability. That is a victory in itself, but we have to guard and protect these gains. I believe you will be able to discuss this comprehensively as you proceed with this activity. Rest assured, you have allies and champions in the Senate and in the House of Representatives who will continue to push for laws and policies to secure children's rights, including making them responsible for their actions without dooming them to live as criminals. It has not been easy for us, having been principal author of this measure. We have been criticized in the media. We have been insulted, called names because of this law. But we will bear all that, and we will continue to suffer the criticisms, knowing that many children in conflict with the law are in fact being able to have a second chance. This is all that really matters to me. There is this tendency to sensationalize, and you can understand when children in conflict with the law are involved in heinous offenses. But many of you here know that these are exceptions rather than the rule. For every 10 involved in committing these offenses, the repeat offenders, those who are truly incorrigible, if you can call it that, are perhaps less than 2 out of the 10, less than 3 out of the 10. 7 or 8 are actually first-time offenders. And therefore, like I said earlier, even if they hit us left and right because of this law that we crafted, there will be 7 children out there who are being allowed or given a second lease, being able to become productive citizens of our country, shielded from a previous very, very traumatic and painful experience of being made to account for their acts in a non-appropriate, non-child appropriate system of justice. If only for that, we will take all the hits because we're giving many, many children a second chance in life. Maybe we should also consider our communications. I know it is difficult given the confidentiality requirements of the law and the cases, but we have to tell the good stories. We have to narrate, change the narrative, and show precisely that there are children who are actually benefiting from this law, who would otherwise be rotting in the new believed prison, probably raped, probably abused, and turning into hardened criminals. we were able to prevent that. We continue to prevent that. And these stories must be told so that in the end, the narrative will be precisely the children do not belong to jail, the children deserve a second chance. Magandang umaga po sa kanilang lahat at maraming salamat.